Welcome to the Retirement Living Your Way podcast, where we have real discussions with the boys in the room. And I'd like to welcome to the microphone Troy Theobald from RFS Advice and Greg Black.
Thank you very much, Colin.
Thank you, Colin.
Why is everybody giggling this
time? We're happy to be here.
There you go.
Fantastic. And I think today's going to be a great episode because I guess what we wanted to do today is really take a bit of a deep dive into one of the topics that makes up the Australian Retirement Toolkit. And just as a reminder, the Australian Retirement Toolkit is a fantastic resource for those thinking of retiring or even those that are already in retirement. And it's something that we've been working very hard on at RFS Advice. And Troy and the team have been doing this for over 25 years, so I think we're really in a great position to share a lot of our insights. And the whole idea of creating this toolkit was to create an ebook where we can actually share with clients about what some of the things they should be thinking of as they go through retirement. And I guess for today's topic, let's start at the real hard-hitting area of financial planning and security, because I guess that's what people think about when they are looking to go to retirement. I think that would be fair.
One of the things I was going to ask is, Troy has given me an insight as to why you went down this road, and I think it's a fairly valuable piece of information.
Yeah, because when we're researching for the show there, we just wanted something that was a very broad, because people don't want to know it's just about money. What am I going to do? What am I going to do with my time? Where do I want to travel? It's so broad, this retirement scenario, that, yeah, when we went researching and looking, there was lots of product information. Here's information about our product, and here's all the great things we can do. And, you know, it seems all the super funds seem to have their own little animal or whatever they promote on the TV and tell us all about that. But people want to know about what's going to be in their lives and what should they be thinking, because they don't know what questions to ask, and that you're behind the eight ball if you don't even know what questions to ask, let alone answer them and where to get advice.
Yeah.
And look, you get stuck on questions. One of the ones you hear most often, especially around here with some of our volunteers, is how much do I need to retire? And that is an individual answer per case. What do you want to do in retirement? If you just want to sit at home, well, that's a different value equation. If you want to go out and see the world for the rest of your life, that's a different equation altogether. So it's a great little toolkit that you've put together. I've had the benefit of having a good look over it. So we're going to explore it week to week or month to month, I apologise, and go through topic by topic.
Absolutely. And if anyone wants to sort of jump ahead of the curve a little, please reach out to us at RFS Advice on rfsadvice.com. And, we're certainly happy to send through the retirement toolkit for you to have a look at.
Not about products, not about anything like that. This is just hopefully giving people some good information, what questions to ask, some tips, some learnings that we've seen, some of them good learnings, some of them not so good learnings from people, but you'd rather learn from someone else's mistakes than your own.
Absolutely.
So one of the things I think is probably a good place to start, Troy, if we can, a lot of people when they're getting close to retirement or in retirement, they're worried, they're concerned. And I think one of the fears that they have is the fear of running out of money.
Sure.
In your experience, you know, what does a normal retirement lifestyle cost? I know how long's a bit of string, but if you break it down, what sort of numbers should people be having in their own mind? Yeah,
for a lot of people, some households just have that. I earned, what did my group certificate say? I was on $120,000 a year. They forget about that thing called tax. And in retirement, if we've got money coming out of superannuation or pension accounts, we're hopefully in an environment where we're not paying that tax. So we've already dropped that 120 back down to about 80,000 or something around that. And then we look at, all right, what other big expenses did you have in your working life you don't have? And sooner or later it gets down around that 50-ish mark for day-to-day running a household. You're not going to be having massive overseas trips at that, but for the basics of running a house, people that are out and about with friends, happy enough, that around that seems to still hit the mark. That was probably 40, 2 or 3 years ago. So we've definitely seen that push up, and, if things keep pushing up the way they are, it'll probably push to 55 pretty quickly.
Mm. Did you have something you were going to mention there?
You're looking at me then. I was pause because the discussion's sort of evolving. To me, I like the timeline. So you get to retirement, you're active, you want to head overseas, you want to do things. Eventually, the travel insurance gets to a point where they go, you're too old, mate, we're not going to insure you. Yeah. And often the body gets to a point or someone gets ill or whatever happens. And I look at Hilton, who was our patriarch here, at I think about 80, 81, mate, just happy to go down to the shops, have a wander, go to the Coles and Woolies, head up home, invite people up for a cup of tea, go and see a mate maybe and sit down and shoot the breeze about days gone by. You don't need a lot of money at that point.
No, and it's really that front-end loading of retirement. When you're fit and healthy and active, it's getting out there and doing that. But one thing we spoke about the show, and when Greg and I were doing the research for this, was a lot of the toolkits on the super funds website actually spend all of your money. Yep. As in they go down to zero, and even some of the government websites do. And I think we did a show for that back in May or June there that we actually went through and had a look at all these. But if you ask the people who jumped online, they absolutely thought they're leaving this big capital amount to the kids.
And that is the bonus of a bit of advice, knowing and understanding exactly where you're going and what you're doing. You can do all the reading online, but it might be based on a completely different preface.
Absolutely. And look, most people are realistic in what they're wanting to do based on their sort of needs, wants, and what they actually have for resources to fund it. So I find that majority would fit into that. Like it's not a moment of, that's probably not going to happen, but that can happen sometimes. But majority of people are, they've got a realistic, they know what their lifestyle was like through their working life. They don't think they're, suddenly sitting in New York in the penthouse for the next 6 months of the year. They haven't set the goals crazily high, but it's probably, I'd like to go to Europe. I want to see London. I want to see Big Ben. They're big ticket items that absolutely should fit as part of that plan.
And having a look at your hero board, or I think you use a completely different term, I just remember seeing this. It was either a Ford or a Holden. This gentleman had this big Cheshire cat grin on his face of he had restored this vehicle of, obviously it had been a lifelong dream, and I thought to myself, there you go, that's a great retirement.
Oh, and it absolutely is. We worked with a new group on our marketing, and when they're sitting here asking you questions, just why don't you tell people this is what you do and the journey you're on with the client? So hopefully our website says that now, because that's what it is. It's those dreams that you've got to have the dream. You've got to be, is it within budget? Can I do it? The desire to do it, and then when you fulfil it, Australians, we're not very good at celebrating for others. In our office, we celebrate that loudly with them.
And I think the benefit of having known you guys for a little while now, we run a radio show on 4CRB on a monthly basis. It's a partnering, it's a partnership. It is knowing and understanding and having a plan and a roadmap. And this is what I love about the ebook, is that it's basically giving you all of that information up front and saying, this is what we do. This is what retirement planning is all about, because I often hear the story, oh, geez, it costs too much money to have a retirement planner and that's just impacting my retirement. Yeah, but you don't see the other side of the fence, because by having a look at different ideologies or different ways of doing things, you may be saving yourself or making yourself a lot more money than you would if you were doing it yourself. And it's worthwhile just going and asking the questions. Don't have to. Don't have to take the advice. No. Don't have to go there. But look, the e-book is a great try before you buy.
Yeah, and looking for us, it was just about, we really wanted to try and provide some peace of mind for people, because we understand, we deal with clients all day, every day. We understand the issues, the thoughts going through their mind. And we thought, let's create a resource where we can actually walk people through the sorts of things they need to be thinking about, and also some of the emotional journey that they'd be going on. And I think just sort of keeping it going around the financial planning security aspect, because this is only just one part of the toolkit. Troy, I'm really sort of keen to get your thoughts on, when a client comes in to meet with you, what sort of things or what sort of steps should they at least be thinking about to get themselves ready for retirement? Or if they're already in retirement, maybe reassess where they're at, because just because someone's in retirement doesn't make sure they don't feel like they've got the security. How can we help get that back?
Yeah, and to Colin's point there, the first question is, in your household, how much is going to run your household? How much do you actually, do you spend? Do you think you need? A lot of the time I get, that's a good question. I know I've said this a few times. They'll come and say, it's not a good question. It's sort of the starting point. We need to know how much you actually need or how much you're spending in your household. And you could be adding up the last 3 or 4 months' credit card statements, what's coming out at the ATM, and we get a pretty fair idea from there. The next step is what have we got to produce income? So very broad brush of where are we going to get our retirement income? Do we have super? Do we have pensions? Is it an age pension? Do we have rental properties? If we've got them, great. It's not the headline rent. I get $600 a week. Yeah, but you've got to pay the real estate agent. You've got to pay the costs, the fees, the insurances, everything else. How much do you get to eat? Because that's what's suddenly important, the bottom line, not the negative geared tax deduction and all the stuff that used to be good.
Yep.
Now it is what is going to produce income into your household that you can spend in, week out, and consistently there. And then we can work out, and I hate the word budget because people lie in budgets because, oh, look, I spent $10. No, you probably spend about $30 a week. we need to look at really what you're spending as opposed to hypothetically. And that's why I like people to go back and look at what they actually spent, not what they think they spent. Because you look at the politicians, you ask them how much was a loaf of bread and a carton of milk, and they had no idea. Well,
that's right.
Chances are lots of people have got the same situation, even though we laughed at them. Pot's probably calling the kettle black here, but if you look at how much you spend in totality, that's the real figure we need to know. So is it 45 in your house and you're pretty happy? Is it 65 because you know what? Yeah, we probably helped the grandkids a fair bit. Is it 80? Is it 100? The number's the number. We just need to know what it is. We don't need a made-up number to make you feel good. We need the actual number, and then we can work towards, can you deliver that number? And the answer is you might be already there. But we don't know unless we've got what's going out, what's coming in, and moving from there.
So just on that, if we can just go back probably up one or two, if that's okay. When people come in and you're having a look at their current financial position, and you're having a look at where the assets are made, I think a lot of people worry that or think that they come and see a financial planner and all of a sudden we're going to completely change their entire portfolio and we're going to make everything, put it into one box and everyone looks and feels the same. But that's not the approach that we obviously take at RFS, because it's all about making sure they're getting the most out of their assets. Would that be
correct? So there's a fact find there, which purely is that, finding the facts. What are we dealing with today? And I can understand people's aversions, and we do see levels of quality of advice out there in the community, unfortunately, and it's a bit like any industry profession. There can be a differing there. If you're not happy or there's something feels not right with any situation with anyone you saw, go and get another opinion.
Yes.
That would be the best advice. If you've gone somewhere, you got to the end, they're just interested in capturing my money or capturing all that. Go with your gut feel. Go somewhere else and get another opinion.
And look, the takeaway for me in some of these equations is just standing back and having a look at, I've gone through life, I've paid my taxes, I go to work, I've got a rental investment property income, some income, I pay for some maintenance, I do all of these things. What you've forgotten is that the moment you retire, it's a different equation completely, especially when you're talking with tax and in any number of other areas. So you do need a fresh set of eyes. We learnt this, a lot of us, by just doing it. You guys have been doing it for a very long time, so we can save a fairly big learning curve. And often we fell into some traps along the way, didn't we?
Yeah.
And that's the point of advice.
Yeah, and that's the key. You do get to see common traps people fall into, or they're thinking of this, and you can give examples of other clients when you've been doing it a long time. It just helps to give it that real world feel of but others will want to do it online via Industry Super and do it themselves. That's okay.
That is okay.
We're not anti that model. My probably only thing against the Industry Super funds at the moment is the amount of money they're spending on ads with, we've got all sorts of dragons and this and that, but we could be spending the money educating our members and actually giving them something they can use, as opposed to a whole lot of marketing spend out there that's not really doing anyone any good apart from, talk to us, not them. I think they could be doing a bit better in educating the community or educating their members, because those members aren't walking in the door going, wow, look at these wonderful things we've got out there.
The great thing is you can start with an ebook, and it really isn't specific advice on one product or another. It's general advice.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we don't want it about products.
No, this is very general, but very real.
Yeah,
and I think it makes people sort of stop and think, about their situation. And just on that, Troy, those that are coming into retirement and they may have some debt on their property, or there's also those people that are looking at the home equity scheme where you can sort of draw money out and things like that. What are your thoughts, or what sort of rough guidance, obviously without giving advice, what sort of things do you...
Look, debt and retirement is, compounding can work for you.
Yeah.
It's working against you. And debt and retirement is working against you for probably the longest period of your working life, because it's your non-working life is probably going to outnumber for a lot of people the working life years, and they can start off with things you want to do, and then medically when bills and costs can compound later. So yeah, you just need to be wary of that, because when we don't have the ability to pay something down or reduce it, that problem's getting bigger every day. So just caution against that. Compounding is one of the wonders of the world when you have it working for you.
Yep.
It'll be the worst thing in your life if it's working against you.
And I guess that just shows the whole education piece that's needed. And a good example of that, and Colin, you referred to it earlier on around, superannuation, drawing incomes and things like that. Just the tax rules and the tax treatment of income out of certain structures.
Sure.
That's obviously something else we need to educate clients so they can actually understand, what their portfolio can generate as part of, I guess, the superannuation side of things.
And look, one of those tips and tricks that we've talked about on the show is that hidden death tax. And again, it was amazing the amount of people who just didn't know about it. And it is something as just getting a little bit of advice and you can solve a few problems.
And we can continue to get calls on that and seeing people. And it's quite positive because all of a sudden they're actually getting to understand what it really means for them.
Yes.
Because it's very easy to go from a general concept back down to that specific. So I think it's been an interesting piece that came off on the show, and now more and more people are certainly talking about it, which is great.
Yeah, and that's really what that specific advice is about.
Yeah.
And when amounts go in to superannuation, how they go in is really important for when they come out. When you start income streams, that's where that need for advice is. Those that are using non-advised models, you're not getting the advice, you're not paying for the advice, you're not getting the advice, so it all gets mixed in together, and then we've got to try to potentially fix that later or head in the sand. That's not a great approach.
No.
Adopted by a lot of Australians.
Yes, that's right. Well, some people say I've got a plan, but is it a real plan? It is. I'm good with what I've got in front of my face, and that's the way I want to deal with it right now.
Yeah. So I think from that last point, Troy, I think it really, and all points actually, it really just, I guess, demonstrates the need to seek advice. Yeah. And not just any advice, good advice. Naturally, we'd love to talk with you at RFS Advice, so please do reach out on our website, rfsadvice.com. But there are just so many moving parts with this, and it's not just about the numbers, it's actually about some of the things that go a little bit deeper. And so just in the interest of time, Troy, I'm really keen to make sure that everyone listening to this gets something out of it. What would your sort of top 5 tips be for somebody just about to go in retirement or someone that is in retirement?
So top 5 tips based on this topic today, which is financial planning and security there. Look, maximising those entitlements. So many people have not gone onto the government website, they haven't registered, they haven't realised there's things out there, there's healthcare cards, there's rebates, there's concessions, there's all sorts of things can help to ease that burden of cost of living. And they think, I'm not eligible, I don't even try. And they're worried about the app and all those things. Find someone in your household under the age of probably 30 and then say, can you help me? Chances are they'll be really good and they'll help you. And, we sit down there and do that as part of our review with our clients. Bring your login, let's have a look. Have you updated things? And away we go from there. Second one, guard against inflation. Sitting in cash can feel good, but everything's getting dearer. We know inflation's working against you, so we still need to have some growth assets, but we need to understand what we've got, why we've got them, and how much volatility we can put up with. Keeping an emergency fund. We always love our people to have probably 12 months worth, to be frank, and nearly 2 years worth if we build into a portfolio. Sounds like a lot, but that's how you get through these big events out there. There's all sorts of things happening in the world at the moment, and there'll be more coming in the future. Planning in advance, you can't predict markets, but you can plan for them. That's how we do it. We have that buffer. We're constantly talking with people, making sure they're in for their 6-monthly review. We had a client today asking, what do you do? I said, well, markets are good. We top up the cash buffer, and when they're not, we let it run down. It's those little bits that we can do through those periods really makes that money last longer. Staying invested, once you make the decision to get out, it feels good. When do I put it back? I'll wait till I hear good news and the market rockets back up. I'll put it back in. There's bad news. It dropped. I'll pull it out again. Hang on. It's gone back up on good news. I'll put it in. Yeah. It's sort of the exact opposite to what you want to be doing. And once you start that game, it's not the first question. It's the second one that's the problem.
Yep.
And the third and fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, because you've just created a habit. And some people get stuck in that, whereas ours is, staying invested, quarterly rebalance, quarterly reweighting, no guru calls, and just stick to a structured approach. And the other one, beware of scams and frauds, easily said, but in 2023, over 60s lost $120 million on scams. So there is so many emails that just sound so good to be true that there's no chance they're true, so let's not click on them just in case. You didn't buy a lottery ticket. Guess what? You probably didn't win lottery. Yep. Okay, there's simple ones, but there's really complex ones that looks like the ATO have sent me something. In our world, our clients would say, just ring us, email us. Our answer would be, don't click on it.
Yep.
That's why we started with maximising entitlements. If we already had our MyGov login and we had our details, we can log into the secure site from the government, see if there's a message. I reckon 99 out of 100 times there's no message.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's just having someone to reach out to. We have someone even who we can refer to in our firm who can help our clients there with all their online services there as well, because we've recognised that's a need. So look, get onto those entitlements. Guard against inflation rather than sitting there feeling good, but inflation's eating away over a 20, 30-year period. Keep that emergency fund there and that buffer. Staying invested, not jumping all over the place, panicking over the TV, and just avoiding those scams.
Fantastic.
Look, one of the things, and I had a client ring me, or a listener ring me last week, and it's about the scams. And it was interesting because we can say all these words, but having got involved into what's been going on in their life, they just got caught up in a whirlwind. The bank had rung them and said that there'd been inappropriate activity on the account, and then there was emails, and then was this and this and this and this and this. And we've also talked about it in other areas with respect to advice, and you can go through periods of GFC or you can go through COVID. The point of advice is a security blanket. And it's whether it is scams or whether it is a turbulent time in finances, that's what it is. And it's just getting over the hurdle. So I'm going to hit you with the top 5 questions. And it just comes from, we have a lot of volunteers here at 4CRB, and it's wonderful to actually use them as a bit of feedback. So how much does it cost to get a little bit of advice, Troy?
Yeah, look, generally a statement of advice, someone's going to be $3,000 to $5,000 is probably a ballpark for a statement of advice.
And once I've got that, do I have to go with you?
No. Absolutely. That will give you your advice, recommendation, where you're at, where you'd like to get to, calculations, projections, and make a decision from there.
So basically it's free advice. Well, it's advice you've paid for, but there is no connection to I must go down this road, I have to go down this road. No. If I'm with someone else, does it cost me a ton of money to move if I actually get advice and prefer to go with someone else?
No, and that's the scenario a lot of people are getting into now. If you're not happy with advice, go and seek another opinion. Generally, if someone came in to us, we can tell very quickly whether is it a situation with the advice, has it just not been maybe explained enough, or is the client not understood? And It normally fits into one of those 3, and then we can work with them from there. So if it's something not understood, look, maybe they could have explained this, and better. Generally, look, but it looks... Everything you've asked for is there. You probably just need it explained. That's a personal choice. At the end of the day, there's their personality, preference, who do they like to deal with going forward, where they are might be fine. Is it something that, that's not normal? We had a very recent situation there, very, very recent. And I just asked the question of, things like, in our world, there's red flags. Like, okay, when they took a copy of your driver's license, did they cite it in you? Well, no. Well, hang on, in our world, there's AML. That's law. It's not a negotiable. I don't want a photo of your thing and show, here's the photo of your driver's licence. There's certain requirements legislative that everyone should be abiding by. When things like that aren't happening, that's a red flag to us.
Yes.
This doesn't sound right. So there's questions we'd ask, and it's normally procedural things that really point out, whether what's going on's, what we'd expect
above board
or not.
Yes. So if I wanted to make the move, or a client or a potential client wanted to make the move, do they have to have the hard conversation with the people who were providing advice previously?
It's your money. You can appoint anyone. You can sack them. You can sack us tomorrow. They can sack it. It's your money. And that's where people need to know. I've had people go, I'm locked into this 12-month term, and I'm like, no, it doesn't really work that way in our industry there. We have term agreements to ensure people are happy and they have to continue opting in for the service. That's what they were designed for, to stop the old days of commissions where they met someone once and 6 years later someone's getting paid. So it was putting that sunset on that ability. It wasn't put in there to lock people in for a period.
Yes.
Which, there's a bit of a misconception out there around that.
So to me, you can get some advice, you can pay for it, you can get some quality advice, decide whether you want to take it or leave it. You can go and get 2 or 3 bits of advice if you want to, and then make a decision that best benefits you. If you find some better advice down the track and want to move, it's not a hard thing to do, and nor does it cost you money, other than for the advice in the first place.
Correct. So that sort of thing, it's, the consumer's really got the choice. They've got the power. It's just they probably didn't know.
No, that's right. And it is. It's one of those, it's a very complex equation at times, especially with changes in gearing. I knew how to run my life previously. My life's changing, gears are changing. Superannuation's a word. What? I don't need to talk to the taxman anymore, or you may. There's lots of different things that you do need to consider.
Absolutely.
And I think this is why it's important to partner with somebody that you're comfortable with, that understands you, that's asking the right questions, that you can actually really share this next journey together. And I think that the dream board with all the photos coming through, sure. I think that really represents who we are as a firm. Just clients getting out there living their best lives, and we're helping them do that. And that gives us a massive sense of satisfaction. That's what we do. We love it. And I think being able to have an advisor that can share that journey with you is absolutely critical.
Last but not least, and one of the valuable things that I took away from this previous conversations is it is never too early to start the conversation. You can be on the lead up to retirement. You could have just had a marquee moment in your life, had a divorce, split finances, and want to know where you're going, what you're doing. I'm heading for retirement. I'm probably 10 years away. You can still grab some advice, and it can help you work through making sure you optimise where you're going to be when you hit retirement.
Yep. Yeah, we have a plan we call Making Work Optional there, and we were thinking, we've designed that around our retirees looking to retirement on that. Someone much younger than that grabbed onto that and went, well, I'd like to make a day a week optional. Oh, it was a different way of looking at it. Doesn't have to be the totality of that. It could be, I want my wife not to have to work for a few years after the kids. Like, there's all sorts of methods of people for their household, how that resonates and how they're using that. So it doesn't have to be all about just retiring for the rest of your life, because we call it Making Work Optional because a lot of people don't want to retire. And we did that so that you don't have to. It's okay. You can keep working it. Our job is to work with you. So if something unforeseen happens or something out of the blue, or one day you get out of bed and go, you know what, no, I am done, you're ready and you're okay. But you don't have to do it. Others will walk in the door and how many days, hours, minutes, seconds, Troy, can you tell me until I never have to go to that blood-sucking job again? Those one I really like to find an answer for them. But yeah, the vast majority of people they don't, bar trigger events, to your point. There's been, I've had a trigger birthday, there's been something, I've got to deal with it now.
Yes.
That probably forces people to reach out for advice. Where people get caught in that muddle is, I'm gonna get to it. Going to do it one day.
Yep.
Going to get around to it.
I'm fine today. It's all good. It's all good. But then it's there.
Correct.
Yes.
And just on that, that's probably a future topic with the toolkit around legal and administrative essentials and things like that. And it's probably worth pointing out, we've sort of mentioned the Australian Retirement Toolkit that we've pulled together, and obviously today we've covered the financial planning and security. There are a number of other areas that we will be covering in the toolkit, so I'll just sort of go through them, and obviously you'll be able to find these in future episodes or maybe even prior episodes. So we've got today's financial planning and security, as I mentioned, health and wellbeing, housing and living arrangement, which is a very, very interesting topic, especially given the demographics and what's happening in society. Probably more of the boring, the legal and administrative, but really important area to sort of cover. Social life and purpose, happiness and lifestyle mindset, technology and safety, a big one around home care and aged care, because obviously we've seen some changes. There was a bit of a delay. We're going to see some the new act coming in from 1 November this year. Creating a legacy and passing down family wealth, philanthropic or charity work, and last but not least, travel and adventure. And I think that just gives you a feel about the toolkit. And as you can see or sense from that list, it's not all about the money.
Absolutely not.
No, it's not. And if you focus on the fun things, well, all the other things you'll just have to deal with.
Absolutely, exactly.
All right. Look, the toolkit is online. It is available at rfsadvice.com. Greg, is it on the front page?
Actually, it is. We've got a little tile there, so if you click on that, provide a few details, and we'll be able to send that through to you.
Lovely. Perfect. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Financial planning and security.
Yes. You've been listening to Retirement Living Your Way, the podcast edition, and we thank you very much for your company for episode 1. Each episode will be released on the 25th of the month, so if you're looking for the next edition, that's when it will be, and we'd love some feedback from you. So if you've got any topics you'd like us to tackle, any queries or questions you'd like us answered, We'd love to hear from you. Have a look for the email at the bottom of the podcast, and that is the way to communicate. Love to hear from you. Look forward to your company at the next edition.